All right, let's see. So I'm never really understood uh when exactly I'm live on YouTube because it loads the YouTube screen and then it's on Zoom here that it shows me I'm live. Well, I've got a button that says I'm live and there we go. I see myself. All right. Hello, hello. So yeah, this video was really pretty much off the cusp. I realized I kind of eyeballed that timing, and 30 minutes after a video is probably much too soon. I realize that now. We'll probably do 1 hour. Heads up next time. Ah, Anton, dobre utra. I am glad to hear that some friends from Ukraine are here as well. Such a beautiful country. So yeah, this call, this live, this webinar event, I don't know what to call these. I'll just call it a YouTube live. Really just meant to be a chance to answer people's questions. You know, whenever we see different things pop up inside of the chats on Telegram and to the ambassadors, they drop that to us. And it's something where typically behind the scenes, we are slicing and dicing pretty intensely. I mean, it's something that, of course, we do our best to have as much of a work-life balance as possible. But we're also crypto people, and well, we don't exactly have a 9 to 5. So I say that because what I'm wanting to be able to do is hop on more and more often. I think in the last week, we've been able to get these kind of lives going 3 times now. And I just want to keep ramping it up and making it to where there's as much of a platform for people to interact, ask questions, hang out with us, or just learn about blockchain data and the cool things that can be done with it. Now, I see that, yeah, we've got a couple of questions. I'm going to pull up what my team has given me. And let's see here. Yeah, so we just launched a brand new video talking about the developer fund and going into a little bit more information about exactly how it works, what we're looking for, and where that takes us next as a project. As a TLDR version, pretty much what we've done is we understand that there are a lot of things to be done when it comes to really bringing the vision of decentralized data to reality. What that means, namely, is that there's a ton of applications to be built. We have over 50 different partners as of now, and more, quite frankly, that are in line. We're getting ready for Parachain launch auctions, Polkadot immediately after that. And then on top of that, we're going to be ramping up to be able to create, well, I'm not going to give away too many details yet, but we have some innovative solutions to be able to help other projects accelerate their parachain deployments on Kusama. So lots of cool things to be announcing as we move forward. So this developer fund, it's our way to be able to attract and encourage the many bright minds that we know are inside of our community. Data engineers, analysts, blockchain developers, even off-chain developers if they have interesting projects. Product managers, I mean, it's something that if somebody has a vision and a concept to build that makes sense, we're happy to consider it because we understand that, well, the value of an ecosystem is only going to be proportionate to the types of solutions and everything that's built on top of it. So creating as many use cases as possible is something that we'd like to get the ball rolling with this $10 million fund. On top of that, we're also going to be ramping up hiring. We have a small bootstrap team of developers that have, I mean, paved the way to allow us to have a solid ground to stand on as we enter the parachain auction season. And once we launch on the networks, that's when the fun really begins because everything we've done thus far has been testing. That's why even our data warehouse now, it's version 0 because while yes, we have it on multiple test nets and relay chains, the fact is we still have a lot of cool things to do when it comes to being able to integrate that onto live partner applications, as well as to scale our own applications on top of our network. So it's something where we will be picking up, well, I mean, it's a pretty open door at the moment. There's about 2 to 4 positions available, depending on a person's specialization. And it's something where I saw a question in the Telegram of a gentleman that he's a Rust developer, but didn't feel like maybe he's going to be that great with it. And I just wanted to clarify that while yes, Substrate, the framework Substrate is built on Rust, it's essentially its own language. I mean, it has its own systems, its own process. It's completely modular. And well, I'm a junior developer, and I've found it incredibly intuitive to be able to understand how to piece together blockchain solutions. So if you're somebody that has that experience in Rust, understand how to navigate the language well, and are well passionate. That's the main thing we look for. People that they want to build, they want to make a difference, they want to be able to rise up with this amazing movement of the D data renaissance that we're putting together. This is the place to make this happen. So let's see here. I'm going to take a quick pause because I noticed I have a couple of questions in. Bull Sander, I'm really happy that you're here. My friend, I totally just remembered that I have not shared the link to this live in our chats. Would you mind sharing inside of everywhere, if you haven't already, this YouTube live link? Just because the thing I haven't figured out yet, and this is why I'm going to keep doing these lives. And well, you guys can see us learn as we go. We started off in 240p and then upgraded 360 and then 480, and it got a little bit choppy from there. But I think now we're able to have somewhere between 720 and 1080p. Anyways, it's something that we're improving, we're learning when it comes to this marketing stuff. At the same point, it's because all of our attention is on parachains, where yes, we are getting more marketing done, and I'll share a little bit more information about some of our plans moving forward in a moment. But yeah, this is something that we want to be as transparent and open and authentic as possible with the entire community. Now I'm going to go through a couple of questions because I see I've got a few here. All right, cool. Well, I got some juicy ones. All right, I'm ready for it. So first question is, how many developers can be included in the dev fund? Great question. So it's something where we're not actually capping it based off the number of developers. It's going to be based upon the quality of the projects and the depth of the scope that is within those. So what we're looking for is to see what are the best data use case applications people can think of in the interoperable ecosystem of Polkadot. So as of right now, we can actually even get that ball rolling because there are dozens of partners that we have that, while yes, we have them in schedule to be able to start being built on when mainnet launches, that's after parachain auctions, first on Kusama, then on Polkadot, estimated for sometime in early Q1, conservatively. Though as of right now, everything is ahead of schedule. So I don't want to leave or mislead anybody and give a wrong expectation, but we are working on getting there as fast as possible. I say this because when developers build solutions, I guess as we can call it, because it's not quite as software, it could be something as simple as just some kind of query tool that's able to help accelerate the speed by which data is able to be retrieved or validated. It can be super nerdy, or it can be super open and out there, like some kind of analytics dashboarding system. At the same time, the way that it works is a developer is able to generate query fees from whatever they build. So we'll be bootstrapping with this fund to help provide developers with the space of mind to be able to focus on building something awesome. And then on top of that, there's an entire monetization backend available. And well, they don't call me Monetization Andy for no reason. What we'll be doing is working with people to find out how can we help developers succeed as much as possible inside of the program, and being able to offer our support. Not only do we have access with the team over at Parity to the Substrate Builders program, we've also had our fair share of lessons along the way as the entire dev team has been working tirelessly. I mean, huge shout out to all of them. And these guys are just so brilliant and amazing for the work that they do. And you'll get to work with us to find out, well, what have we learned and how can you apply that to your application? So whether that's 20 projects that are coming in and we're helping all of them out, and maybe there's 5 juicy projects with teams behind them that we're collaborating with. it's really more about what's going to make the biggest impact on the community and how can we work together to be able to make the largest use case impact possible as fast as possible on this network. Because as we're looking at it, it's a 3-year plan for us. Really, even with Polkadot launching now, if you think about it, it took them 6 years to build Polkadot starting in 2015. And here we are at the end of 2021, and they're just about to start their mainnet process. Yet even then, the work really begins once mainnet launches, because it's at that point that it's then about onboarding use case applications, more validator nodes, and then being able to put out whatever fires will inevitably occur from any type of network deployment. So I share all of this because it's, well, the short answer, my goodness, I need to work on being able to answer these things quickly, is that there isn't a cap. It's going to be a base about value. Though the long answer I'd say is that it's something where I wouldn't want people to feel shy to present their projects and to share the proposals of what they're thinking, because this is the true nature of decentralization and collaboration. Sure, we're a small team of some very bright engineers and developers. At the same time, we're over 64,000 people strong on Twitter, almost 14,000 on Telegram, and I'm certain that there is brilliance, excellence inside of the community, and we want to be able to open the doors to let people in. Blocktopian, thank you for your kind words. I'm glad that you like the style that we're putting together. It's definitely different. Of course, you guys can probably tell I'm reading on a script from the videos, because if I don't, I'll spend 2 hours and it'll take me 8 hours to record the thing because I'll ramble on. So the idea is to kind of balance things out by having a chance to both interact directly with folks here, as well as answer people's questions directly. We want to make sure that any tough questions there are, they can have an answer. And of course, we're not at liberty to talk about, when moon or anything like that. We're not going to have a very good answer for that, in the sense of we're not, what's it called? We're not psychics. We don't know what the future is going to hold. What we do know is what we're building. What we do know is the impact that what we're doing can provide on the world. And yeah, it's another way to make it happen. Anyways, so let's go on to the next question here. All right, cool. So what is the fund for? I think I got that broken down pretty well, though the short answer of what is this fund for? Well, we want to be able to stimulate this data economy by helping to bootstrap some developers and different projects to be able to help start to create solutions, not just for the partners we already have lined up, but for whatever use cases other applications might be working on already. Let's see. Will the dev fund be working with Kylan or on other projects? How does this benefit Kylan hodlers? Yeah, great question. So this is actually, that's a really great question. Wow, I am so thankful for this community involvement, because I actually never thought about talking about that angle. And I feel a bit sheepish now, realizing that that is an extraordinarily important perspective. So to start off with first, how does this benefit Kylan holders? Well, that really comes down to what is the Kylan token? See, it's a utility token. It's purely meant to be able to facilitate transactions, whether that's queries, whether that's indexing, whether that's storage of data on the warehouse, to be able to quantify exactly how much of whatever service is being provided. So what we just recently have done, and I'll have some kind of an update about it. I'm not sure how to do it yet, but we did a demo to make sure that everything is working as expected on the back end when it comes to being able to have, well, anybody with an API to be able to drop data into the warehouse. And then if someone queries that data, it then sends the fee to the original data provider. So super cool stuff where now whenever a developer or an application or a website of whatever it might be that a person has, if there's some kind of data that they think that other people could value from, it's now possible that they can share that data and other people can interact with it, build upon it, which we believe will create a snowball effect of innovation. Now, when it comes to how that specifically turns into monetary value potentially, obviously there is no monetary value. It's not a currency, it's a utility token. And that's something that comes from the fact that every single time that query is made, If I think about CoinGecko, every time I hit the refresh button on that portfolio to see where's all the bags looking like, that's a query. That is a message that is sent to a server somewhere else, and it's pulling the data and delivering it to my screen. So let's just say a data provider wants to, I don't know, upload a pretty cool chart. I was just watching Benjamin Cohen. He's got a really cool channel. I like the way that he thinks. And he's got an interesting mathematical model that he uses to take a look at the markets. I am sure a gentleman like that has a ton of data that many other people would be excited to be able to query and learn from and understand. So let's just say that somebody had put together their own models to understand whatever it might be, whether that's the price of Bitcoin or, I don't know, the relative strength of the US dollar versus the British pound. I don't know, like whatever kind of data point that somebody somewhere is playing with, as opposed to, I mean, I'll just speak to my own experience. I'm wandering outside of my background. I haven't had the pleasure yet of diving into blockchain data, yet I've spent a lot of time in marketing data. And I know I could spend days putting together analytic solutions and automations to be able to understand where are the best geographics, demographics, and psychographics to be able to advertise to, and what markets should I not advertise to. So I might spend days pooling all this data together from my different sources, analyzing it to be able to make a decision that helps me once. It's not a very great business model, because then that means that the company I'm working for is paying me an analyst salary to be able to spend days to provide value on a piece of data that they're only going to use one time. It's like, I don't know, building a taxi cab, a car, sending somebody to the airport and blowing up the car when it's done. It's if you're going to spend time building something, monetize it. And that's the model that we have built here. So, man, this is a long question. A long answer. I've got to get better at this. And that's why I'm going to keep doing these live so I can continue to improve. But it is something where every single time that data is being used, every single time somebody looks at it, applies it to their application, launches it on a network, well, all of those, how many? Thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people that might be using an application like CoinGecko or Glassnode, every single time somebody sees that, a portion of Pichu or Kylan, depending on whichever network that it's built on, that's going and being sent out as a query fee. And then on top of that, it also has a whole network of anyone who's seen a white paper of various other pieces, from collators, validators. There's a burn mechanism that comes from challenges that can happen if somebody doesn't think that someone else's data is accurate. Well, they can challenge that person. And if it is accurate, that person loses the stake that they challenged. If it's not accurate, the person who uploaded the invalid data, they get their stake burned, and the person who made the challenge receives a 20% commission. There's a whole lot of stuff that we have, and it would most certainly be outside of the scope of this sporadic live to go into details, but definitely check out our website. There's a link right at the very top to our white paper and our overview that breaks down exactly how it is that the Kailan token adds value to holders. And what we see in this fund is we can get that ball rolling. We can start to make it to where these admittedly ephemeral concepts, these intangible concepts that I'm describing, instead of it just being the words of data technobabble, we can start to see actual applications. We can look at how many queries are being ran per minute, per second. We can see what types of industries have the biggest demand. Is it NFTs? Is it DeFi? Is it metaverse? Is it play to earn gaming? Quite frankly, we know how to monetize off of all of it, because there isn't anything in blockchain that isn't data. By the nature of the beast, it's all zeros and ones at the end of the day. And what we do is we organize, store, and distribute that in a way that adds value. And I just realized that was probably a video into itself. How funny. All right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so I see a question that Bull Sander found. Can you explain what West End is used for? So West End is Kusama's test network. And this is why you always hear us hesitate a little bit to call Kusama a test network, because it's very much a independent, it could be considered a fully sovereign blockchain network of itself, a direct replica of Polkadot. The only thing that makes it a testing environment is that the stakes are lower than on Polkadot. On Polkadot, there has to be a lot more time, and there's a lot more stake for those who are in the back end validating. On Kusama, decisions can be made very, very quickly. The stake is lower, so a person can make things happen faster. Now, West End, that's the actual test net for Kusama. So that's the environment where consider it the kiddie pool, call it the sandbox. It's the place where somebody can run their applications and try to break it and really see, will it handle live action? So when we say that we've deployed on the West End, what we're meaning is that we've connected to an actual Kusama parachain, Kusama testnet, and have deployed our solutions, which it's the same thing when we go on to actual Kusama, basically meaning that we're ready for launch. I got a question here from I am RK. When will Kylan participate in the Polkadot crowd launch? Great question, my friend. So at the stage that we're at right now is we're preparing for launch first on Kusama, being the canary network, so that we can fully validate the applications and systems that we're building. We expect a conservative launch of early Q1. Now, as of right now, we are actually ahead of schedule. So it's possibly it could be sooner. Though it's going to depend on Kusama, and it's going to depend on the team at Parity. And ultimately, it's going to depend on the quality of what we build to make sure that we're able to launch within this time period. Now, Polkadot auctions will occur shortly after the Kusama auctions. From what we're seeing and hearing from just listening to the ecosystem dev community at large, is it seems that maybe it's a month to 2 months, really just depending. I've even heard some people whisper about 6 months, depending on how things go and the network complexity. But what we're looking for is to, as soon as possible, to go from the Kusama parachain auctions, succeed, launch, prove to Parity that we are able to sustain a live network on Kusama, at which point we get the thumbs up from the team and can then go ahead and launch on Polkadot. Next, from Mr. Andres Marquis Lera. How much DOT has been committed to Kylan for the parachain auction? So Andres, that's a bit of a moving target. So we have commitments on the back end that they're just private investors that we've been working with for the last year. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting this community since the early days. It's something where they're the only people we talk with. But by the nature of a crowd loan, it's up to the community. That's the part where marketing and transparency and making sure that we have enough messaging out there for people to understand the value that we provide comes in. So I say that because, well, we're talking to like less than a dozen whales, I guess you could call them, that they have their own allocations and are negotiating directly to find out where to commit their DOT. And there we're looking at somewhere between 200 to 300,000 DOT. And it's a range because, of course, we have agreements. At the same point, though, we want to make sure that we're conservative in the numbers that we say. At the same point, it's worth noting that the amount of prepared DOT we believe is going to just pale in comparison with the amount of DOT that the collective community at large is able to bring together. And this comes from our conversations with our friends within the ecosystem. The fact is the power of 60,000 is much greater than the power of 10. And so in this case here, it's very hard to estimate. Now, what we're looking for when it comes to the Polkadot auctions, and it's one of those things that we do keep top of mind, is how much will it actually cost? We can see that the very first auctions are always going to be more pricey. On Kusama, we got to see this live. The first auctions cost more than 400,000 Kusama in order to get going. Now it's less than 100,000 Kusama to be able to launch a parachain on the same network. So we expect a similar situation to happen there on Polkadot as well, where the first auction may be more than 1 million DOT that happened, and then there's likely going to be a steep decline as more places go. On top of that, while there's 100 parachain auctions available, 100, there's less than maybe 3 or 4 dozen projects that are even close to being able to actually deploy on a Polkadot parachain. So it's something where it's not a limited supply yet. Sure, 2 to 3 years from now, when we've already launched and scaled our network, that's going to be a real tough auction. And for new folks there, it's absolutely going to be a bit challenging. Though on our side, our focus is really on making the best the best product, the best services, the best applications that we can to ensure network security. Because being the data layer of Polkadot means that it's not just a Polkadot ecosystem, including Kusama, that we're looking at. It's now Ethereum through Moonriver and pretty soon Glimmer on once it goes Polkadot parachain. That means that whenever the other networks connect through bridges on the Polkadot and Kusama relay chain, we're also analyzing all of that data. So if you can take a look at Ethereum as an example and think about how many data solutions are there that actually are able to process everything happening on the network in a clear and coherent way, I can think of less than 24 of them right now, and that's with the years of adoption. So if we add Ethereum plus Polkadot plus Avalanche plus Solana and Cardano and literally every sovereign blockchain, well, I say all that because our objective is to make sure that we have something that's going to produce the most value possible for the community. All right, and next. Question from the chat. Will the dev fund value 10 million in stablecoins or 10 million worth of Kylan? Yeah, great question. We are talking in Kylan. With everything that we have and the treasury that we operate is in Kylan tokens. And I would strongly encourage to check out our tokenomics. I've noticed a lot of questions that they're right there, and we're going to create some more visual elements to help people see exactly what we're working with. Now, the reason we say 10 million is because whenever we add up the amount of money that's there for the development ecosystem, the community fund, the marketing fund, and we add what's all there available, the fact is that we're looking for the biggest value and impact possible in the most sustainable way. Admittedly, it means that we're not trying to rush into something when it's potentially not ready. We're looking to build something stable and solid. So the number 10 million is actually us massively downplaying the amount of resourcing that's potentially available, because that's the number that we can likely stand behind. I mean, sure, if there's like some kind of mega dump, if some billionaire sends out a rude tweet, then hey, these things go up and down. That's the crypto game. But we understand that we're, as of now, pretty much woefully undiscovered as a project. And while we're doing everything from marketing standpoint to be able to increase that, the fact is that I can say that that $10 million that we're looking at is pretty conservative. And we're not about to blow the entire thing within the very first round. We want to spend the time to really make sure that we've got an awesome crew of first round folks that the community loves, our ambassador and our leadership loves, so that way we can lock arms and build together. Danny, good to see you in here. John T, let's see, I lost a message. Oh, where'd you go? How can I explain Kylan to people in a simple way? I'm very excited about this project. Yeah, John, the best way that I describe it simply is think about Google Cloud. They have this service called BigQuery. While it may not be necessarily used by a whole bunch of, I guess, call it, the consumer public, businesses have to store their data somewhere. And by being able to have a cloud solution where a company no longer has to have some monolithic server sitting in a closet somewhere and has to be maintained all the time, what Google Cloud provided is a solution where businesses and whatever types of entities are able to upload their data securely in a place where they're able to control it. They can deploy it to an application. They can keep it just for their own records. They can do what they like with it. We're building something similar. We're starting off with data warehousing. Well, actually, we started with price feeding oracles, but that's super easy, barely an inconvenience. At the same time, data warehousing is really where the scalable money is at. And when we say money, I do mean in the sense of the amount of value that can be produced by the applications on the network. Of course, we're a utility token. So it's something where what we're looking at, and the way that I would describe it is, we are able to make data useful, not only to store it, not only to secure it, not only to be able to distribute and send it for applications, but we're able to query and index it in a way that instead of data being siloed and separated, like what's happening inside of Google, if somebody creates an awesome data set that they've been analyzing a whole bunch of market information and putting together whatever crazy mathematical models they might have, if they build that on Google, the solution to be able to get that out there is they'll have to build some kind of a back end that can interact with that database. They're going to have a front end that people can interact with from there. And then they're going to have to market the front end of whatever website or application they build just to be able to share their mathematical model. Difficult, time consuming, and someone who's doing this type of stuff is probably going to want to focus their time on data science and math as opposed to front end development. On the other hand, what we're building at Kylan is a marketplace that allows people to be able to monetize their data, not just by in the form of selling data. There's actually 5 stages of data monetization, and the selling of data is literally just the beginning stage. It's the least profitable and least scalable. Really, where the value comes from is we've made a solution that, as opposed to just storing data, a person can monetize it. They can use it. They can operationalize it by making it to where businesses can make better decisions. People can understand markets better from the data that one person provides. One man's trash, another man's treasure. Similar concept here, where people typically use less than 5% of data. It might be 1%. I forgot what the study is, but the minority of data is ever actually used. We're a solution that helps to reach into that untapped potential. Andres, thanks for the thorough response. If you're looking for thorough responses, I've definitely got that. Now, hey, everybody, just a quick heads up. I will be wrapping this up in 10 minutes. So I'm going to dive through here, see what we've got, and yeah, carry on with the day. I've got a lot of exciting stuff to continue putting together. Yeah, we are super stoked for the parachain auctions. Will Kylan cooperate with other blockchains in providing data? Web3 is still not very developed, and I think Kylan will be strong in the next half year. Yeah, it's something that Web3 is a fairly new concept. I mean, I think 2019 people, people were mostly talking about, 2019 going into 2020, people were talking about DeFi. This year, we had a whole lot of the NFT explosion happen. Of course, NFTs were around before. What we're seeing right now is more so on the gaming and metaverse sides of things. And I mean, I guess shout out to Facebook, formerly Meta, for just dropping a nice branding and PR bomb by helping everyone start Googling metaverse and discovering crypto along the way. And we do see that the next stages are Web 3.0, data storage and data solutions, as people are starting to scratch their heads and wonder, why is Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, how do these companies command trillions of dollars worth of value across the market? And well, the fact is, it's mostly because of data. And as folks start to figure that out, we do see a very exciting upside in the future. Now, where does that put what happens in 6 months? What happens in 3 months? I mean, shoot, who would have known that in the middle of May, everything was going to crash? No one does. At the same time, it's something where when we take a look at where things really go for Web3, we see it as a journey. We see it as this is an exciting movement that's happening, that's being built. And well, almost no one expected just how high things would go at the end of last year. And we have a feeling that with the way everything's moving in the world, blockchain is going to become a very friendly, open environment for those looking for something secure. Now, Kylan absolutely will be operating with multiple blockchains. To answer the direct question, I don't know, I just love talking about Web3 and the transformation the industry has. So whoopsies, but it's something where, yeah, absolutely. That's what Polkadot is for. And that's really probably one of the best advantages that we have as a network and the biggest solution we saw that we could provide. Polkadot is admittedly a bit complicated sometimes. It's not the easiest complex to describe. It's why we have the parachain, the Kylan Decoded series. We have Parachain Part 1. I'm actually finalizing the script for Parachain Part 2, so I'm excited to get that out to everybody. But it's something where Polkadot's set up to where any sovereign blockchain is able to coordinate themselves onto Polkadot through the relay chain to where they can completely interoperate together. So because we're building on Polkadot with a relay chain, whatever other networks attach themselves, whether directly or through a bridge or through some service like Moonriver and Glimmer, well, that means that we also have access to that data. And those are folks that we want to be serving as well. Thank you so much for the kind words, Om. The team, I really wish I wish I was able to spend more time talking about just how much these folks are really doing in the background. It's unfortunate that in the data world, it's like, how do you present an API? There's just nothing sexy to show. There's not some pretty graphics or visualizations. It's just going to crank out JSON code. And if it ends up doing what you expect it to do from one side to the other side, it works. But I say that because thank you so much for the kind words, but I'm only one of many, many people, folks that I greatly look up to in the way that there's so many things happening, and it's a collective effort between the ambassadors, between the teammates, between the developers, between everybody here. It's really a team effort. And if it wasn't for them, I couldn't be here live on YouTube, learning how to be comfortable with a camera and some bright lights shining in my face. Though I do feel like I'm getting more comfortable, so that's exciting. I'm gonna blast through the rest of these. Actually, you know what? No, I've still got 6 minutes. Yeah, Town, we're doing our best to be able to share direct, clear communication with folks, so that way people can learn. See, I'm a big committed to the language gap. Reconvene. Yes, Sam is just an amazing, amazing leader. It's been an absolute pleasure being able to just watch magic happen as he and the development team have been able to put things together so very quickly. Now, it is worth noting, guys, we are going to be increasing our team. As we go into parachain season, we're going to be making as many services as possible on Kylan. So I'm going to do a quick shameless plug. We are hiring, and it's not just $10 million in a dev fund for applications. We're also looking for the brightest minds that is looking to be able to solve challenges within the blockchain space, namely data. If you guys know anybody that is a Substrate Rust developer or a Rust developer proper, we would love to speak with them. What we look for mostly is that there's someone who's passionate, who's coachable, who's willing to learn and is excited to be a part of our community. That's what we got next. If Kylan was available on BSC, PancakeSwap, ETH gas fees are killer. Absolutely. It is something where we have strongly considered that. It's just one of those things that we've looked at. Going on to something like PancakeSwap, it would take away dev time and attention from building the parachain, which is where all of the value comes from that supports the entire community. We for sure did not expect that ETH would take this long to be able to come up with their solutions, and that the gas fees are, well, not fun at all. At the same point, though, we have parachain season coming right around the corner. And on ETH, that's where you have, on Uniswap, that's where you have a safe transaction. The only exchanges that we currently support is Uniswap and ThorSwap. Any other exchanges that currently have Kylan, that's not us. And for sure, it's a decentralized community. So anybody can ape into a whole bunch of Kylan and drop it onto a network and drop it somewhere and do something with it. But I say that because, please, folks, I've been seeing messages of individuals getting scammed. And it's something where we advise that Uniswap and ThorSwap are the best ways to find us for the sake of security. Right, and what slot Kylan going for auction? Hey there, oh my goodness, I would love to pronounce your first name, but I have no idea. I'm gonna say Lakshmi for short. I have a friend named Lakshmi. So it's something where we cannot guess which exact slot it's going to be. What we're doing right now is we're completing milestone number 2 of the Substrate Builders program. We've actually finished the things needed. We just need to go through the audit with Parity to make it official and move on to the next stage. Now, there's still some pieces we have to put together. It's nerdy tech stuff. Basically, we need to set up a few more DevOps systems before we're going to be able to have the automations needed to secure the parachain on Kusama. So once we have the green light, we're going to be giving everybody an update within the community to let them know which exact parachain auction we're going for. As of right now, though, because we don't know exactly when will everything be reviewed, what hurdles might we have to overcome, or what tweaks and refinements may we need to make along the way, we couldn't in good faith just say a random arbitrary slot auction timeline because, well, we don't know yet. What we can say is that we comfortably expect that sometime in early Q1, we'll be going for a parachain auction. And as of right now, we are very much ahead of schedule, and it's possible it could be sooner. Stay tuned. We're not going to just randomly drop it. Hey, guys, we're doing this tomorrow. it's something where we're going to make sure that everybody has enough time to, unstake the Kusama if they have it staked currently, as well as to get to learn exactly how to be able to participate within the auctions if you're eligible. I say that because I know Americans like myself are not, we have a bunch of unfortunate rules that makes it difficult. Let's see. How about data marketplace? Seeing that it's not prioritized as compared to other services that Kylan provides, such as Oracle Analytics and Warehouse, correct? Yeah, one of the things about the marketplace is we need to have something to market first. It needs to be also live. So we absolutely are excited for the marketplace, but building this out, it is a step-by-step approach. And the very first thing that we've got to be able to do is to launch on the parachain. And once there and we have that mainnet going, that's the point that we're able to start providing more solutions, just like what you described, oracles, warehousing, analytics. So what we've been doing is preparing the systems in place, putting the systems in place, so that way all of those data solutions are there. And then as we start cultivating more and more use case development on the network, that's where the system for being able to monetize or to generate fees from the data a person provides, the marketplace, that's actually already built. It's just a core foundational part of what's happening. And well, it's something that I wouldn't say that it's not prioritized. I would say that it's simply, we're looking at it as a matter of what's going to be the most effective to help this system scale and to serve the most folks available. And then go to the next one. What do you think about BTC these days? Where are we going? You know what? I wish I had a crystal ball. I really can't speculate. And it's not just out of integrity or transparency, though for sure it wouldn't be right, but I'm not an expert. I'm not an analyst. I'm not some data scientist that pulls over and looks over numbers. I love to read blogs and watch tweets from people who speculate on it. But quite frankly, I'm not a great short-term trader. I'm more of a macro guy. And when I look at the big picture of blockchain, and especially specifically Bitcoin, which Bitcoin laid the foundation. It paved the way for decentralization and blockchain to occur. I can say from a multiple of verifiable facts I've seen along the way that the blockchain adoption curve is objectively increasing at an exponential rate, going from tens of millions to surpassing well over 100 million almost a year ago at this point. We're seeing network deployment happening at a rapid pace. ETH 2.0 about to drop, Cardano about to drop, Polkadot dropping now. These are entire layer one network solutions, of which are actually moving towards generation 3, and even Bitcoin is transforming from the Gen 1 kind of just reliable, strong, yet not the most malleable system that it had, also now looking at being able to have programmable solutions and things like the Lightning Network. I say all of this because where will it go tomorrow, next week, next month? I have no idea. But I can say that I've been in enough countries that the financial systems are not very strong. And even the country that I'm from, our powers that be seem to be printing money into oblivion. And I personally am under the impression that people are going to get tired of watching their savings, well, slowly light on fire inside of the banks. So I believe that in the long term, the entire industry as a whole will expand. Let's see. And yeah, well, hey, everybody, that just about does it. We are at the 45-minute mark, and I got a whole lot to do today, so I'm going to go ahead and get to it. But thank you all so much for showing up here. Wow, 20 plus people. I am amazed because there was absolutely no heads up. So thank you guys for taking the time out of your days to be here. Follow along inside of our chat, inside of Telegram. If you're not already in the announcements channel, that's where the first public releases happen. And we're going to be having a lot more activity here on YouTube and beyond. Well, it's been a pleasure, y'all.